Let's move on to the superintendent's report. There is no turnaround update tonight, or do you have one?
No, we don't have a turnaround update, but we do have a presentation from Adams City High School.
You may want to wait a little bit, too. Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
Good evening. We have been invited here tonight from Adams City High School as we understand that there are questions about the use of beyond textbooks and the applicability to our English learners and our bilingual students. And we have convened a small team in order to share with you the information that you have asked for as far as how we are implementing beyond textbooks at Adams City High School. I am Jenna Ream. I am an instructional coordinator at Adams City High School. I'm joined by...
I'm Christy Cooley, instructional coach at Adams City High School.
Sabrina Jetto, I'm an ELD teacher at Adams City High School.
Hi, Mandlik, ELD teacher.
All right, so we wanted to start our presentation with just a quick overview of our demographics because one of the founding concepts at Adams City High School is that the majority, if not all, of our learners are English learners and bilingual students. We have 17% of our students, 83% of our students are either current or former English learners as identified by our assessment measures. And we know that within our 17%, we have additional bilingual students who speak languages other than English in their communities and in their homes. We have a unified improvement plan in order to strategically look at the work that we're doing in our school district and make sure that we are meeting the needs of all of our learners. And since our population is so diverse, we also recognize that we are all language teachers and we all need to be teaching language in all of our content classrooms. So we are provided with resources at Adams City. Thank you for the resources that you are providing. We are using beyond textbooks as a standards and curriculum map in order to understand the progression of learning that our teachers and our students engage in. This is focusing us exclusively on standards-based instruction and helping our students to really achieve full proficiency to those grade level standards. We are using grade level text and common assessments through both beyond textbooks and also the LightSail tool that we are able to use in order to assess and provide our students with instructional experiences in and around high quality grade level text. We are also using constructing meaning in order to support language in every content area and really help create every single learning environment in our school to be a language-rich and engaging one. To this end, we have some learning environment specifications that we expect in every classroom in order to provide a clear agenda for all of our students so they know what is happening during their 82 minutes of instruction, during our block days, and their 45 minutes on our period days. We have a standards-based CLO, a content language objective, in which teachers are clarifying for kids what is the exact content and what is the language that they are going to be held accountable for during that lesson. There's an aligned exit ticket so that our teachers can understand what it is that our students acquired during that learning period. And then clear grade level expectations that teachers are able to convene across teams by using the resources provided. I'm going to turn this over to one of our ELD teachers so she can talk about how we specifically teach ELD to some of our learners.
What do I push? Okay. So I've been teaching ELD at Adams City High School for 3 years. This will be my third year there. So currently, if you look at the breakdown of our English language learners, The majority of them are advanced emerging bilingual students, so they're level 3 or 4, meaning they're starting to reach proficiency that is close to their native English-speaking peers, or they're in monitor status, meaning that they've shown through a body of evidence and different academic measures that they have reached proficiency, but we continue to watch them for a couple of years just to make sure that their scores don't fall or that they don't need additional language support. And then our other group, the 15%, those are our newest to the country, emerging bilingual students that have been here for 2 years or less. Those are actually the students specifically that I serve, is our students that are newest to the country. So we serve students on a continuum all the way from new arrivals. I have students that just arrived in my classroom a few weeks ago from Mexico, all the way up to students that are ready to receive their seal of biliteracy. So they're completely bilingual and biliterate in 2 languages. So we just wanted to highlight some of the things that we're doing with our students. So serving our new arrival students, our level 1 and 2 emerging bilinguals, they're receiving a sheltered instruction English class with me, and they also receive their ELD instruction with me. In addition to that, they have a bilingual math class, they have bilingual advisory, and they all have a native language class, either an AP Spanish class, a Spanish language arts class. So they are receiving native language support in some of their content areas with their advisors, and they are receiving native language instruction to continue their Spanish learning in AP or Spanish language arts, in addition to the sheltered English. Our higher level English language learners, the level 3 and 4s, are in a mainstream English class in addition to receiving support in an ELD English lab. So these are some of the things that are happening with our newcomer students, the support and instruction for our newcomer students to really accelerate the language. We're using SIOP methods, CM training. I went through CM training the first year it was implemented here at Adams 14, 2-3 years ago. So those structures are in the classroom as well as level texts. Students do different word and phrase sorts to help them build metalinguistic awareness, to reinforce syntax and phonemic awareness, which is necessary at those beginning levels of English acquisition, and to reinforce standards at the same time. So we're working on reinforcing standards, not only language standards, but also Common Core standards through reading informational texts and writing and things like that. This is just another example of some of the things that we do with our newcomer students. There's a lot of pictorial input that's based on certain text structures. We do a lot of instruction where there's a short mini lesson by the teacher, then the students have the opportunity to talk and process, and then the opportunity to write. Within this, there's vocabulary review, which helps to activate short and long-term memory. And this type of instruction allows them to see the text structures that they're working with, the content and the vocabulary, all in a very contextualized way to accelerate their understanding of the language, not only the vocab and the words, but also the structures of the language that we're using in class. And then also within the classes for our newcomers, there's project-based learning happening within that English ELD lab time, so that students have the opportunity to create language structures and to, not create language structures, but to create their own language constructs within those structures and to develop different ways to show learning and for me to assess their learning via projects and topics that they're interested in. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Endlick, who works with the higher level students, and he's going to talk about that.
Yeah, thanks. Good evening. It's been my pleasure to work with our advanced emerging bilingual students this year. As we noticed earlier, they're level 3 and 4 English language learners. And as a result, they actually take what we might call just a regular English course in addition to my English language development course. So I see my role as working closely and collaborating closely with the English teachers who are trying to get these kids ready for college. That's really what we're trying to do. As a result, we focus a lot on textual analysis. This is the kind of text that they're going to see on every standardized test, every state test. These are the things that are going to help those kids reach their academic goals. So, let me see, what do we have here? The biggest thing that I help my students with is being able to, when they analyze a text, look for something that's going to help support their ideas. I also focus on really having them incorporate academic language in their writing so that they're using that higher level vocabulary, higher level academic language. The process here, as you notice here, is actually collaborative writing, where students work together to work on sentence structure, on word choice. And so that's actually helping them work together to learn how to successfully use the language. In doing so, we also address grammar lessons contextually. So it's not just an individual thing separate from a lesson, it's built into the lesson. We do use the WIDA writing rubric when we assess their writing. And we really focus a lot on peer revision, which is, of course, that collaborative structure is something that even I see now in my master's program. We work together closely so that we can, I guess, build a community of learners together, okay? We try to, we focus on highlighting context structure words. One thing that I have incorporated is the use of grade level and SAT level vocabulary that they need to incorporate into their writing in order to hit that top level on the WIDA rubric. Okay, we focus a lot on syntax, vocabulary usage, and I find that this really helps kids really hit the four language domains, and it really helps them understand the reciprocal nature of reading and writing. Okay, I'm going to pass it off to Christy.
Thank you. So we realize not everyone has the pleasure of being in our building every day, so I'm really excited to show you some of the growth that we've seen. With our new arrival group, we give them a measure of English language development 4 times a year. Our goal is for 100% of our students that Ms. Jetto serves to pass this assessment. Right now, we have 11% to go by the end of the year, so we're very excited about that. So this measure, it measures their development in reading and writing and in listening. And thanks to Illuminate, which you've given us to work with, it's been a great tool to be able to track this data throughout the year, and that we can share this not only as an ELD department, but we can share this with our other content teachers as well, so that they know where the students are, and more importantly, that the students know where they are. We've had data chats with every single ELD student this entire year, so that going into WIDA Access, they knew what they had scored on the previous assessment, and they knew what they needed to work on, and we've been working on those things all year. So the students have been able to track their own data, as well as we've been able to share that data with our staff. Some of the other growth that we've seen, and it's very exciting to work with the new arrivals because you do see a tremendous amount of growth in a very short amount of time. We've seen Lexile level growth. The Lexile level measures their comprehension at grade level reading, so you can see that we are making growth there. We also measure their reading fluency several times a year. Our goal is to get to 120 words correct per minute. Right now our students are around 102 words per minute, which is pretty amazing given the short amount of time that we've been working with them. So we do in fact have some amazing students and some incredible teachers as you've seen. In our English Language Arts class, we are using the BT, the Beyond textbooks. It guides our language our instruction. So mostly 9th and 10th graders are using this, and some of the other classes have decided to use it as well to guide their instruction. We have weekly standards and assessments that are common throughout the whole team. So every 9th grade student takes the same common formative assessment each week. Then that data is used by the teachers in their English lab class, and that's used for reteach and enrich time. So we have 2 different blocks that the teachers are able to use that information and again share that information with everyone thanks to Illuminate. So it helps us also determine our grade level text that we'll use. It also determines our daily content language objectives, those standards that we get. It determines the language that we teach in the class and the content that we teach in the class so that the students know exactly what is expected of them every classroom they walk into. And We also have some thematic support from some of our other classes. So for example, if ninth grade, when they were teaching the Odyssey, our Spanish language arts class was also working on some mythology as well to tie in and give that thematic support to our students in English and in Spanish. We've also been using the Light Sail program. It's basically a library of literary text and informational text that's available to our teachers and to our students. It measures the students' lexile growth every time they're on the program, so we are continuously getting data from that program every time the students are on it. It sets the student's level at a certain place, and then it tries to push them beyond that level within their zone of proximal development, because we want to keep the kids growing every time they're on that program, and that's what it helps us do. So that's also helped us in our assessment and given us some instructional materials to use. It also helps students with their own progress monitoring so that they know what grade level text they're able to access and what their goals are to reach. It also helps us with that, like Mr. Enlick said, with that reciprocal relationship of reading and writing. The same language that we're looking for in the reading, their kids know exactly what words to look for. They know the text structure by the keywords that we've taught them using the constructing meaning. When they find those keywords in their writing, those students know that they have to use that in their writing as well. So they see it in the reading, they also have to use those same words in their writing, and that's what we're having them do. All right, and I'll turn it back to Jenna for math.
So recognizing that our students need to be reaching full proficiency in both English and math, we are also using beyond textbooks to support our mathematics classrooms. For our students who are learning English, this is helping them to, or helping our teachers to get really clear on what exactly is the mathematical content, and then what is the language that they need to be using in order to address that. You learned earlier from our teacher, no names, from our teacher who presented to you earlier, that we have been, but the process of getting these PLCs up and going and using these shared resources and really getting clear on the common conceptions that we need to teach and then the potential misconceptions that students have, we're able to really target and individualize that instruction and make sure our kids not only can do the computation and the mathematics, but they also can talk about and explain and write about their thinking and why they're understanding what it is that they're able to do. Because we have a number of students that are new arrivals and are new to English, we understand that mathematical instruction all in English is very challenging. We have been able this year to provide those students with mathematics instruction in bilingual classrooms. So the teachers are bilingual. They are using both Spanish and English to make sure that they're developing full conceptual development with their kids, and then teaching them how to explain that thinking, how to do that thinking in the language that they're most comfortable in, and then extending that to English as well. So in our mathematics algebra classes, and we have mathematics geometry classes that we are able to provide using those bilingual methods and a strategic use of both languages. So we're really pushing our students' mathematical development as well as their ability to think in math and explain their thinking in orally and in writing. The other thing that this is doing for us is it's really allowing us to focus on our kids' growth and their conceptual development, and we're able to use the reteach and enrich block, particularly in algebra. We're still growing our program in geometry, but in algebra we're really able to look strategically at what is it that these students need in both languages. And so not only are we able to offer the algebra classes, but we're also able to offer the algebra labs bilingually. What this is meaning is we're seeing the growth, again, conceptually and in our students' ability to articulate what it is that they're learning. What you see here in this image is one of our project-based learning examples. This is some modeling that was being done of a rocket as it was taking off, and the students were calculating their different algebraic equations in order to explain what it was, and then after they have had time to work together and come up with and puzzle out what is it that is the right answer, but also why is it that we are finding the answer that we have, they're able to then, there we go, they're able to then present to the entire class. So we're really engaging students listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and their mathematical development within this solid instructional foundation so that they can continue to move forward. We're a work in progress. We've got a lot to learn and a lot to continue to implement, but using these tools that you guys have provided for us, we are able to really focus in on what is it that our students need and how do we provide them that very best instruction. Another tool that we are just extremely grateful for and are in the process of implementing is, as Christy mentioned, the Illuminate platform. This is really allowing us to quickly get access to the information that we need to understand our students' data. We have found that between Quarter 1 and Quarter 2, our English 9 growth has gone from 16% to 37%. We have noticed that our English 10 growth has gone from 37 to 45%. We've seen growth in algebra 5% to 13%. This is where we're really honing in on what is it that our kids know and looking at how can we push that growth. Now that we have growth, how can we push that growth higher, as our teacher was explaining earlier in the study session as well. And then in geometry, we've seen significant growth from 17% to 46%. So as we wrap up our presentation, I just want to share one more way that we are, one more success that we're experiencing at Adams City High School. We have been evaluating all of our different students on their potential for the seal of biliteracy. And while we had 42 students last year, we have 35 who've already this year met those requirements. We are on track to almost double that and have at least 80% of our students. And so using these tools to really look closely at our data, to really hone in on our instruction, and to look at building the languages of our students, we're really able to push and celebrate that we are advancing not only their achievement academically, but also linguistically as well.
Any questions?
Yeah.
It was
you.
a good slide, good presentation. Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
So let's move on to routine items. Yes, thank you so much for your presentations. Let's move on to personnel. Superintendent's recommendation, personnel actions. I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Any discussion? Have roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana? Aye. Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Let's move on to business. 1.0 grant. Superintendent's recommendation, approval to accept funds from the Every Student Succeeds Act School Improvement Grant. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I have a comment. Since this was raised last week, I've been pondering this issue, and it seems that, you know, we've hired presumably an expert with turnaround experience and leadership skills. And so it seems to me that his team should be giving these kind of workshops rather than taking them. And another concern I have is regarding the timing. And right now, it seems the next few months are extremely critical to Adams 14. And all of our resources, I think, should be focused on our kids in our classrooms for the rest of this spring, certainly, and maybe the first part of next fall. I mean, it's an ongoing thing, but nevertheless, these next few months are going to be, may make or break us. And so if this proposal had come up a year ago, I think I would feel differently than having it come up now. And if it came up a year from now, I think I would have a different reaction to it. But it seems to me that the timing is much less than optimal for us to be doing this. Thank you.
Dr. Hyde, this did come up a year ago. You was not on the board with 5 different other principals. So this grant is for 5 different other principals went. Am I not mistaken? So it's not, because you sitting here today, it just didn't come up today.
Right.
We sent 5 other principals to this. Was it 5 or 7? 6 a year ago. So I'm just saying, this going piggybacking off of you. You didn't sit on the board a year ago, and it's in front of us today. So we did have it a year ago, and we did vote to send those principals. And if I'm not mistaken, those principals are still here in the building, in the district today.
Good evening. That's correct. The principals are still here, and that's part of the obligation of this grant, is that our principals that will be sending and assistant principals will also continue to work for Adams 14, so that we're helping to grow them around turnaround and be able to reinvest into our students to make sure that we are a performing district.
Thank you.
Sure.
And one more question.
Sure.
This was the same grant that we used to send the previous principals last year.
Yes, the only difference that this grant has is it's now been combined under one larger grant called the ESSA School Improvement Grant. And that grant has 4 routes under it, or 4 sub-grants that are coming in. And this is part of that, as the Turnaround Leadership Grant is a sub-grant of that larger one. And that's the only difference. Last year it was an independent competitive grant. Now it's part of a larger one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? No. Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Nay.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 1.2, Superintendent's recommendation, approval to apply for the Commerce City Community Development Block Grant to support the Stomp Parent to Paraprofessional Program.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to other, 2.1, Superintendent's recommendation, approval to purchase I-stations for Central Elementary using Title I funds.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.2, Superintendent's recommendation, approval of in-state overnight travel to Greeley, Colorado for the Teacher Employment Days Job Fair, April the 5th through the 6th of 2018.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Dr. Patterson, are you going to be interviewing ELD applicants at that time?
Yes, I will. So if there are ELD applicants, biliteracy applicants, or applicants who are bilingual teachers, we will be interviewing all.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
So moving on, 2.3 was pulled off by request of the CTA teachers. We did that in the agenda. So we'll move to 2.4, Superintendent's recommendation, approval to accept a 3-year contract with College Town Sports. I do have, well, let's go on. Yes, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, now we'll move into discussion. So there was an addition to the contract based on conversation that we had during our study session. And I'll just read these appropriation. These are additional to that contract. Appropriation, the district and College Town Sports acknowledge that Parents 1, this agreement is not an irrevocable pledge to present cash reserves for payments in future fiscal years. And 2, this agreement is not intended to create a multiple fiscal year direct or indirect debt or financial obligation of the district. And then there's another paragraph added, it's termination. The district may terminate this agreement at the conclusion of year 1 or year 2 upon 30 days notice advance written to the College Town Sports. So that's the only addition to the presentation that was presented to us on Thursday.
Was that on advice of legal counsel?
Yes, Dr. Hyde.
Thanks.
Okay, any discussion on that? Can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.5, Superintendent's recommendation, approval of College Town sports purchases exceeding $15,000 per policy DJ.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to 2.6, Superintendent's recommendation, approval for Adams City High School to contract with the University of Denver.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Monica, please.
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Moving on to action item 2.0, 3.1, board action, Kids First Healthcare Fundraiser. This was the item we talked about on Thursday. They have a level of sponsorship. It's a little different than we've done in the past. So can I get a motion for that?
What is the motion?
The motion is for
Accept it.
Kids First Healthcare Fundraiser, first of all. And then if we accept it, at what level? So it's actually a two-part.
Two-part. So,
Yes.
okay, so the first part is that we want to support it. The second part is for how much?
Yes. So do I need a motion for that?
You should. So the way you proposed is fine. You could combine it, but it doesn't matter. So what I interpret is you just called for a motion as to whether or not, as to the board will support the Kids First Healthcare Fundraiser at an amount to be determined.
Correct. So do I have a motion?
Motion to accept Kids First proposal.
Second.
There isn't.
Any discussion?
It's okay.
So now we can move into the amount.
Well, we need to vote on that first,
Oh,
right?
Yeah, go ahead and
So can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, so they have like 5 different sponsorships. Gold sponsorship is $11,000. Silver sponsorship is $6,000. Technology sponsorship is $6,500. General admission ticket is $300. So we can either sponsor the event or we can buy individual tickets, or however you want to do it.
The 1,500 instead.
So we bought 3. I believe last year we did
1,500.
1,500, so 5 tickets at $300.
We could do the 1,500 or change it to one of these other scholarships that they have.
President Achuleta?
Yes.
So, Kids First delayed their fundraiser last year and didn't hold it until the fall. So, for this fiscal year, you've already donated $1,500 at their fundraiser.
So we've already donated 15 to this fundraiser.
Yes, but it was actually from last year's canceled event.
Oh, the canceled event last year.
Yeah, but so that donation came out of this fiscal year.
Okay. So, do we want to add more, or do we want to just go with the 1,500 that we've already okayed? Or what do we want to do?
I'd like to, I think Kids First is a terrific program, and I'd like to ask our superintendent if, or anybody else who might know, might we be able to up it from 1,500 without, comfortably financially afford to increase it?
Actually, that comes out of, if I'm correct, it doesn't come out of our budget?
It does.
It comes out of our budget. It has nothing to do with the superintendent.
So, okay, so what's our budget?
Well, that's why have this in question.
But so can we?
Do we want to
what
go
is
that
our?
high?
I haven't seen our budget, so
So
no
depend,
idea.
What was that? How high?
It starts at 300.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but how high? Dr. Hyde said you want to go a little higher. How high is my
You wanna
question?
go.
Well,
We already put the 1,500 in.
So we
Right.
have
This is
5
the additional.
tickets.
yeah, if we went to the silver at 6,000, is that comfortable? I don't know what the board's budget is, so I'm kind of
Let me see if I can help you,
suggesting something
Dr.
in
Hyde.
the dark.
You have a budget, I don't even know the exact figure, but whatever your figure is, I'm gonna throw one out there, this is probably not it. Say if you had $25,000, you have 10,000? 10,000, so throughout the year, a lot of organizations come to you and ask you for money. So what we
So-
try to do is, we balance it so that we can give as many as possible, and that's why we try to keep it the
Right.
same every year, because if you keep it the same, you're gonna come out to that balanced
Right,
budget.
right,
If
okay.
you increase it, you may put yourself in a hole.
Ms. Savigny, did you
just
say
to
it
give
was
you something
10,000?
to compare, the board gives the Adams 14 Education Foundation an annual donation of $5,000.
That's for our scholarships.
And our budget's like 10 grand?
Yeah.
So half of it goes to the Education Foundation?
Yes.
Well, and
Okay,
then it
so-
also goes, am I correct, Monica, if we ordered food or like the parent thing or anything
Yeah.
like that?
Any community event that the board does,
That comes out of our
Keep it the same.
And if we do our own copying, we pull it from here, from the budget, so.
Would we want to increase it from 1,500 by another 1 or 2 chairs to 18 or 21, which is, more reasonable amount?
Well, certainly,
How
a
do you
discussion
feel?
we can have.
Yeah, how do you feel about it? As I said, I think Kids First has done they really stretch their dollars. They give incredible service to the community. So, I'd feel like let's go to 18 or 2,100, something like that.
Did the 1,500 come out of this budget, Monica, or last year's?
This one.
this budget.
This one, okay.
Because the dinner was held in the fall.
And when is our budget up? In July 3rd, June 30th, right? Do you know offhand what our balance is?
I know in community events, which is where this would come out of, the board is over budget, and so I would piece together
From something else?
other.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we already gave them 15. So what if we just do a 300 more, make it 18? Because we also provide them their, I was gonna say their housing, but their facilities, correct? Yeah. It's on? Oh. Yeah, so we provide all their housing for them. So it's not like we're not giving them anything.
Right.
So,
Okay.
I mean, they are great, because when my daughter was at that age where she didn't have insurance, she was working, but she didn't have insurance, they covered her till she was 21. So it is a good, program.
So what do you want to do, move it to 18?
don't see a problem with 18.
Wanna
do
move
that.
to 18?
Let's
What do you
do
think, Arbus?
I'm fine.
Mr. Rolla?
Fine.
So let's make it 18 instead of 15, Monica? 1,800 instead of 1,500?
So are you?
Would you mind
Are
ju-
you talking about 6 tickets or
6
one
tickets.
6. The
Well, we have-
1,500 plus 300.
Or do we have no tickets now?
what?
Or did we use the 1,500 already?
Yes.
So we used the 1,500
The
already.
dinner was in the fall.
Yes. So now if we're gonna buy one ticket, or what are we gonna do? Or are we gonna buy any more?
So they held 2 banquets this year?
Last year,
Was canceled.
they
moved it to this
canceled
year.
it.
So this year they're having 2 banquets in. When's this banquet?
Next month.
That's just too
Next
much.
month. It is April,
That's too much. Just give me the 15.
I don't know, but that's pretty up.
18?
Bad when I started
Just do it.
to feel my hunger.
April 19th.
So if we buy one more ticket, who's gonna go?
So what are we buying?
One seat.
Just one seat plus.
General
15.
admission, $300.
I'm not going. You wanna go?
I'd say, as I said at the study session, I think we ought to think of maybe a staff person or a teacher or an somebody, even somebody in the district who we think is particularly outstanding in some regard, and donate the ticket to that person.
First of all, do we wanna buy one ticket?
Well, we have to buy something, to all fairness. 1 ticket or 2 or 3, whatever, but we have to buy something because they give to our students.
Right. So
Can I
right
just-
now, we have one ticket on the table.
Can I just suggest, if you're giving away one ticket,
to give two.
one $300 ticket, what are the chances of a person receiving that ticket going to an event by themselves?
Yeah,
Well,
that's my very thought.
Personally,
So,
I would say our president should attend because many of the city council
So,
attend that function that they have in the past, so it would look dumb for us not to have a board member on there. So my is that I am nominating for the president to attend.
I second that.
Thank you, Carlos, thank you.
and his wife.
Oh, one's good. You wanna buy 2? We're at $300 now. We haven't decided on $600.
I don't care. You guys decide.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I can certainly go. That's not a problem for me. And thank you for that. But what do we wanna do? Do we wanna buy, we can give a $300 donation, or I can attend.
You attend representing the Board of Education, item 14. Here.
So do we have a consensus then?
Yes.
Okay, so Monica, can we open that to one?
How does that go?
For the sake of the record, would you take it up as a motion and
Yeah.
vote on it?
Take a motion.
So can I get a motion to buy,
Ideally, yeah.
can I
Motion to buy.
get
One
a motion to
ticket.
purchase one general admission ticket?
Just said motion.
Any discussion? I think we had our discussion already.
Yes.
Can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Achuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Okay, so that moves us to communications.
Please.
So I have a few communications. Does anybody have any communications that they would like to go before I do business?
Yeah. Can I? Now?
Yes.
I'd like to thank Mr. Denmark, he's sitting back there, that good-looking guy back there. Because today was opening day for the baseball team, and he did a super job. He had the ROTC was represented with the colors, They had a young student singing the national anthem. And Mr. Thompson is going to be upset with this, or is Thomas, I mean? Mr. Thomas is going to be upset with this because they were selling hot dogs for $1 and he wasn't there to buy his hot dog. I thought about bringing him one, but I knew it'd be cold and he wouldn't eat it, so he's a little upset. So they sold hot dogs, and there was a lot of parents and students there at the ball game for being the opener. I thought we were at the Rockies, except for the beer. But they were there, and as I was leaving, I says, some parents were coming, and said, "Wow, how you doing?" Stuff. She said, "Well, we're here for the opener," and so it's really nice. And I'd like to commend you, sir, for making a wonderful thing for. I guess we didn't win though, but we're like the Rockies. We didn't win, and I think the final was 9-1. But when I was there, it was 1-0. So.
Mr. Thomas, do you have anything? Ms. Quintana? Mr. Hyde?
I'm fine.
Thanks. You know, I'd like to just say that, you know, we as the Board of Education had a meeting with some of the parents on a Friday night. I thought it was somewhat well attended, but we're trying to reach out to the community. So when we hear that we're not trying to reach out to the community, we really are trying to reach out to the community. But also, you know, it's graduation time. The kids are excited. I was at the high school yesterday. I just stopped in, see Mr. Bustos for a little bit, see how everything was going with graduation rates and all of that stuff. So just visiting. So, you know, it was good. I talked to a lot of the students. They're excited. School's ready to get out. But they're doing good. So now I'd like to talk about community. So the budget study sessions. Do we want to have any more? What do we want?
Do the high school got theirs in?
I don't know.
Had their listed for us.
All the budgets are due to us this Friday, and then we're gonna go back over with the budgets them early next week. So we're still receiving. Sent an email out tonight to request that they make sure, because we still haven't received those budgets back, and then we only have two, 3 more days to get them back. If we don't get them by Friday, I'll be driving out to those schools and meeting with the departments until they give us a budget.
You know your way around already?
Not yet, but I got Google Maps.
He got Google on his phone. He got maps on his phone.
So Friday,
First of April?
Yeah, I think that's,
time to look at them.
Yeah.
Going on spring
Right.
break, give us April.
Yeah, and I know that I had recommended that we meet with all of the department heads and that type of stuff, but I don't know that that's necessary. If we see any real major changes that we may see along the way, I think that's more of what I was looking for.
And what we were hoping to do was to present all the district, the schools, the department budgets, and to show a balanced budget of what that would be. And we're asking the principals and the supervisors to show 3 priority items that may not fit that budget, so you guys can review them. And if you feel fit that, you know, we want to push those forward, but just with the understanding that that might not make a balanced budget. So we're going to prioritize those, meet with them, and then return those back to the board.
So, the Board of Education, so we can get the information to the Board of Education.
Correct.
And we have one woman on the Board of Education.
Correct.
We noticed you said you guys. several times.
Guys and gals, guys and gals.
Probably she can pick it up.
But,
Because I was listening to him.
is the district cuts gonna be in there too? With the budget plan, with y'all gonna come and have cuts?
We're-
Decide we need to cut here and there somewhere?
We're going to present the budget that will be balanced. You know, we're still working with the different schools and the departments to see what we're doing. Again, one of the biggest priorities is to follow the turnaround plan. So kind of letting that guide us right now, and hopefully we don't have to make any cuts. We do know that we have some retirees, so anytime we have some retirees, that usually means that you don't have to RIF teachers or any employees.
So you're telling me noted, right? That y'all no cuts in the district?
We'll have to wait till we get all those budgets back. We should know, by Friday, once we have those budgets, then we'll go over and meet with everybody early next week.
So does that give you enough time if we meet with you sometime first week of April?
April 1st, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll
Yes.
come up with the date. What date you want to meet with them? 1st of April, anytime? Well, let's have a date for him so we can.
Good for you, Dr. Hyde.
Pretty much
Baseball game, right?
whatever you got.
What's that?
You gotta find out if it's a baseball game.
On
First week of April.
what day? I mean, what's,
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
I think they play on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
That's the 3rd and the 5th.
So Wednesday?
And if I'm here, I may be in
Hey.
Alabama,
Oh, no.
yeah, or Arkansas, I mean.
Can I just,
Hun.
so you have a scheduled, your regular Thursday, study?
Study session,
On that first Thursday,
5th.
Fifth?
uh-huh.
Well, does that give you enough time to have it ready for us by the
Yes.
fifth?
But that's gonna be jamming us,
Yeah.
cause you're giving us the board
Agenda.
agenda prior
Mhm.
to that.
Yeah.
I think we could do it Wednesday where we can.
4th sounds good.
Yeah, but Timmy don't care. He'll stay here till 1 o'clock in the morning. He don't care.
Remember, you for top.
Okay, Wednesday the 4th, will that work? Wednesday the 4th, does that work for you?
That works.
Okay.
We'll be doing the.
Can I just throw something else out there?
Yes.
That's the same night as DAC. So,
Tuesday?
Tuesday the 3rd?
that would give me time to post on Monday.
Yeah, Tuesday, 3rd.
Tuesday the 3rd works? Seeing how you're not going to Alabama or Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Anyway, it's too cold over that way now.
That still give you enough time on the 3rd?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. I don't know whether this is reasonable or not, but it'd be really helpful for me is when you bring the budget to us, if you could tell us what the major changes are from the previous year, whether they're an expansion or a reduction or something like that. Because if I have the whole budget, I'm just swimming in numbers, and which is fun, but I really would like to see kind of how the changes, which really is far more instructive than just looking at the whole budget.
We will note all the major changes and, again, bring those
Okay.
3 different priority
Thanks,
items.
yeah.
And we're not doing them all at one time. High school,
Yep.
just the schools first, right?
I believe we're going to try and look at just the high school, IT, operations, food services, and technology,
That's
and
the whole-
transportation
That's
at
the whole
first.
district, yeah.
Because you still have the
Have the elementary schools.
They under the schools,
He said
The high school.
just the high.
Just the high school, correct.
Okay. And can you provide us a copy of the budgets and stuff prior to us coming in so we had
We will.
questions?
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I,
Yes.
get a confirmation on time on Tuesday?
not 4:30.
What time?
Early?
I
3:30?
said not 4:30.
3:30?
What you want? Later?
5:30?
Later?
5 o'clock? 6 o'clock?
Early the better.
What time?
Whatever you want.
Whatever time. Whatever.
You're
What
the
time?
majority, I'm the minority.
What time would you like? 7
That's
o'clock?
2:30?
8 o'clock?
Do
Go
two-
ahead.
Let's do
Come on,
2:30.
come on, come on.
Let's do 2:30.
2:30?
Working, aren't you?
I can leave it.
Sure.
What time?
2:30?
Is that too early?
Okay, I'll be yelled by the head coach, but that's all right.
Tell him if you don't get this budget, there won't be no head coach.
Is this for the 3rd, the
Third,
meeting
yes.
on the 3rd? We want to have it at,
2:30 in the
2:30.
afternoon.
okay.
I am the minority.
And you're gonna have the heads of those schools, the high school, the head of those individuals here too, right?
We'll request that they make it here as well.
Thank you. And we'll be in a circle.
So secondly, so I know we had one professional development day with Randy Black and Casby. Are we interested in having more? I thought it was very informative. Are we as the board interested in having some more study sessions with Randy?
Why you look at me?
Do we have specific topics?
Just general topics.
I think we still ought to do something with an evaluation.
President Archuleta, if we could,
ourselves and for the
you know, consider what you said, but I would also request maybe you could have Lisa Medler here with you too at the same time, so that we could see how we're progressing with our turnaround plan, and those, because those two run side by side. If you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, since she didn't make it tonight, when were we going to try to get her, when were we going to try to reschedule her from tonight? Did she suggest a time or anything? Or is it up to?
I don't know why she didn't come. I don't know. What did she say when she could come?
She is, if you look at the planning calendar at the back of your packet, she is scheduled out through the end of the year.
I think at that one session we had with here, I think we asked her if you would come in like once a month or every 2 weeks, so.
The
I think
second meeting of every month.
the second meeting of every month
That's
she's
what she's
scheduled. It's-
scheduled as. This one, she had said, I want to get to them before 6 weeks and seeing you last. She thought she could make it tonight, but she canceled yesterday.
So we won't meet with her for, not next meeting, but the meeting after.
You could also remember, Mr. Black said that he, upon request, he could offer a menu of items that he could provide PD on to the board. So that's an option as well, that we could request him to give the board options on PD.
So let's request an options from him, and then we'll decide what we want to do and when we want to do it, okay? Can we do that? That sound fair to
And
everybody?
just Mr. Chairman, a footnote to that is, when he was here last, he was very adamant about, he wanted to speak in a public setting. I don't know the details of that, but he was very concerned that it was a closed, a semi-closed meeting last time. And he said that he normally refuses to speak in closed sessions.
Well, it wouldn't be a closed session. The only reason that was closed because we were meeting with the attorneys.
Okay,
No,
that's
Randy-
just what I heard from him.
Yeah, he just does, whenever he does a training, it's always open.
His portion was open.
Yes, that's why the doors were open.
The only one that wasn't open was when we were meeting with the attorneys. So let's do that. Let's request a list of topics that he can help educate us in, and then we'll decide on a time when we can make that happen, Monica.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So that moves us to others. Is there any other conversation that we need to have? Oh, I do think we need to ask the attorney one question. So we need to move into executive session under CRS 246402, parens 4, parens B, legal advice, board to conference with an attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific matters. I have a question that I need to ask you. Can I get a motion?
So move to move into executive session.
Second. Can I have roll call, Monica, please?
Mr. Archuleta?
Aye.
Dr. Hyde?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana?
Aye.
Mr. Rolla?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
And for everybody else out there won't be any action when we get done, so we'll adjourn the meeting now. You can stay if you want, but we won't have any action after.
And remind you, no meeting, no second meeting in March this month.
Yeah, there's no second meeting this March.